It happens over mashed potatoes. That's the part that sticks with you, how ordinary it all looked. Steam rising off a too-full plate, your dad pouring gravy like he's not about to say something unforgivable, your mom dabbing her mouth with a cloth napkin she's owned since the 90s. Then he says it. It's not even the first insult. It's the last one. You're ungrateful. He growls, stabbing his fork at you like punctuation. Everything we've done, and this is the attitude we get. You blink. I just said I didn't want to talk about politics tonight. Your mom makes that sound, you know the one, like you've embarrassed her in front of no one. Your brother stares at his plate. Again, silent as ever. Your dad throws down his fork, clatters against the plate. If you don't like how things are run in this house, there's the door. You let the words hang there. Then your mom adds almost gently, maybe it's time you learn what it's like out there without us. That's the moment it breaks. Not with shouting, not with slammed fists, but with quiet finality. You stand up. The chair scrapes across the floor louder than any of their accusations. Okay, you say, that's all. No yelling, no begging. Just the word they never expected to hear. You walk to your room, pack a bag without knowing what you're packing for. Your hands shake. You grab your laptop, a toothbrush, 2 changes of clothes. That's it. No one stops you. At the door, your father mutters, "Don't bother coming back." You look at your mother. She doesn't meet your eyes. You step outside and close the door behind you. The click of the lock might as well be a gavel. You're 26 years old. And now you're homeless. The cold air hits like judgment. You don't cry, not yet. You walk. Down the street, around the corner, past the childhood park where you once scraped your knees. Everything looks the same. But you're unmoored. Your friend answers on the first ring. 10 minutes later, you're sitting on their couch, wrapped in a throw blanket that smells like popcorn and cheap detergent. You say it once softly. They kicked me out. They ask why. You shake your head. Because I asked not to argue over dinner. You lie back and stare at the ceiling. Somewhere, your parents are clearing the dishes, probably feeling victorious. They think they ended something. They don't realize they just started it. The first night doesn't feel real. You lie on the couch, staring at the ceiling, trying to find a version of events that makes more sense than the one you lived. You replay it over and over, the fork, clink, the scrape of your chair, the sound of your dad's voice echoing through your spine. Don't bother coming back. You keep waiting for the panic to set in, for the tears, for the urge to run back, apologize, pretend it didn't happen, but they don't come. Instead, there's just a hollow numbness and a blanket that doesn't quite cover your feet. Your friend is kind. They make tea, leave a lamp on low, offer the good pillow. They ask if you're okay. You lie and say yes. The next morning, you wake early, disoriented, still wearing yesterday's clothes. You check your phone, nothing from your parents, nothing from your brother. Just silence where home used to be. You get up, shower, borrow a pair of socks, and stare at your inbox like it might hold answers. Instead, you see it, buried in a thread you never opened. Subject: deed transfer confirmation from your parents' financial advisor, dated 11 months ago. You sit up straight, open it, a single PDF attachment. You click. Your name is there, clear as day, next to the words, primary owner. You blink. Once, twice. Then it hits you. They transferred the house into your name last year. Said it was for tax benefits, part of some refinancing shuffle. You remember signing something after dinner between errands. They called it a favor, said you were finally doing something useful. Now the paperwork's in your inbox, and your name is on the house. You reread it 3 times. Your heart doesn't race. It slows. You message your friend. I need a favor. Do you know a lawyer? They respond immediately. What kind of lawyer? The kind who deals in property. Because now the narrative is shifting. They told you to leave. They said never come back. But the house they threw you out of, it's legally yours. You lie back down, phone in hand, eyes wide open. It's not just about feeling betrayed anymore. It's about realizing they underestimated you. And you're done playing the obedient, grateful child. Now you're just the legal owner of the house they thought they controlled. Let them feel that. The lawyer's office smells like printer toner and decisions. Your friend comes with you because even though you've read the document 5 times, your hands still tremble holding it. You feel like you're about to confess to a crime you didn't commit, but no, you're here because someone else did. The receptionist offers coffee. You decline. Your lawyer's name is Grace. Mid-30s. Cool blouse. No-nonsense energy. She flips through the pages as you explain what happened. You keep your voice steady, but there's a raw edge to it. The kind you can't sand down with logic. They told me to get out, you say, yelled it like a final sentence, and I left. I didn't even realize. You gesture to the deed. She looks at you over the rim of her glasses. This document is clear. You're the legal owner of the house. Your parents transferred it last year, fully not jointly. That's rare. You blink. They told me it was just for paperwork convenience. She shrugs. Paperwork convenience just handed you full property rights. A silence settles. Not heavy, just sharp. You shift in your seat. So what does that mean that I can go back and evict them? She nods. Technically, yes. They're residing in a property they no longer own. If you wanted to reclaim the house, there's a process for that. You sit with it. Your parents' voices echo in your head. You're ungrateful. Get out. Don't come back. You glance at the deed again. But you never really left, did you? They told you to leave, assuming they still held the deed and the control, that their words had the weight of authority behind them. They didn't. Grace continues. We'll need to draft a formal notice. Give them 30 days. If they don't respond or refuse to vacate, we escalate. You nod slowly. Let's do it. You think she expects hesitation, regret, that you'll say, but they're still my parents. But you don't, because what they are now are occupants. You leave the office clutching a folder full of consequences. The sky is gray outside. A wind picks up. It feels like something shifting. On the sidewalk, your friend finally asks the question, Are you really going through with this? You pause. I didn't throw them out, you say. They threw me out. I'm just listening to what they told me to do. Your friend whistles under their breath. This is some Uno reverse card level drama. You laugh. Just once. Not because it's funny. Because it's true. You spend the evening rereading the notice before you send it. You check the language. You check your own heart. Still no hesitation. When you click send to the lawyer attaching the signed draft, there's no thrill, no adrenaline. Just clarity. You set your phone down, walk to the kitchen and make tea in the quiet. Tomorrow the letter will go out. They'll receive it. They'll read it. And for the first time in your life, the power dynamic will flip without you raising your voice once. Let them sit in that silence. Let them feel what it's like to be on the outside. The letter goes out on a Thursday. You know, because your lawyer CC'd you on the certified mail tracking official time-stamped indisputable. You watch the status change from sent to in transit like it's the countdown to a clock they didn't know was ticking. You imagine your parents checking the mailbox. The envelope is heavy with legal phrasing and impersonal weight. It doesn't say we're sorry. It doesn't say we understand. It says, this property is under rightful ownership of your name. Current residents are hereby given 30 days' notice to vacate. You didn't even have to write the words yourself. You just had to sign. You go to work the next day like nothing happened. Smile at the receptionist. Answer emails. Sit in a meeting where no one knows you've just detonated the quietest bomb in your family's history. You don't feel victorious. You feel awake. They still haven't reached out. No phone call, no long all-caps email, no apology, not even rage. Just silence. It's almost impressive. Until it's not. 2 days later, you get the first ping. A text. Not from your parents, from your aunt. I heard about what you're doing. You know they're devastated, right? No greeting. No context. Just a neat little guilt package tied with a bow of implication. You don't respond. She sends another. You should be ashamed. Your parents gave you everything. Now you're throwing them out like strangers. You put your phone down.
You go for a walk.
Around the block. Past your old school. Past the coffee shop where you studied for exams while your dad complained about your useless degree. You breathe in the spring air and realize how light you feel. Because the texts don't sting. They used to, but now they feel like background noise from people who watched your family from a distance and still think the front lawn says more than the locked bedroom doors. You return home to your friend's apartment. They're eating cereal straight from the box. You get the fireworks, yet they ask. You shake your head. Just the first wave of relatives. They snort. Give it another week. The holiday guilt mail will arrive soon. You smile, but you're thinking. Not about their feelings. About your boundaries. About how long you let them believe your silence was acceptance, that your compliance was gratitude. You've given them 30 days. Every day that passes now is a step toward something new. Not revenge. Not even justice. Just space. Real space. The kind where you can build a home out of something other than fear. You lie in bed that night staring at the ceiling fan. And instead of asking, why did they treat me like that? You ask something else. Why did I accept it for so long? The answer doesn't come easily. But the truth always starts there. They don't text. They don't call, but they send a messenger. Your dad shows up at your friend's apartment 3 days after the letter's been delivered. No warning, no courtesy, just knocks hard and fast like the door owes him an answer. Your friend answers. You're in the kitchen. You hear it, the tone. The voice you've memorized over decades. Stern. Condescending. Wound tight with fury disguised as fatherhood. Is she here? He asks.
Your friend doesn't even flinch. She is. But that doesn't mean you get to come in.
I just want to talk, he says. You appear behind your friend, calm as still water. He looks older than you remember. Or maybe just smaller. You don't invite him in. You're trespassing, you say plainly. He blinks. I'm your father. You nod. And I'm the legal owner of the house you're refusing to leave.
He stares at you like he's trying to find the old version. The one who backed down, cried when he raised his voice, folded under guilt. She's gone. You think this makes you powerful? He spits. Taking something from your own parents.
You fold your arms. I didn't take anything. You signed it over. I just realized what that meant. You're being ridiculous. You told me to leave. You told me never to come back. Now you're upset because I listened. He runs a hand over his mouth. Paces the front step. You think you see a flicker of something panic shame, but it's buried beneath years of entitlement. You're seriously kicking us out, he says quieter now. You tilt your head. Did you think there'd be no consequence?
For the first time, he doesn't have a response, so you give him one.
You have 27 days left. I suggest you start packing. He opens his mouth, closes it, walks away without another word. You don't watch him go.
You just close the door and lock it.
Later, you stand by the window with a mug of tea and watch the streetlights flicker on.
Your friend comes up behind you.
You okay? You nod. He looked at me like he didn't recognize me. They raise an eyebrow. You think he ever did? You don't answer. Because the truth is maybe he never did. Maybe they both fell in love with the version of you who stayed quiet, played along, never challenged the hierarchy. The version who forgot she had options. But that version's gone. You're not the daughter who asks for space anymore. You're the woman who claims it. And if they don't like that, well, they can find somewhere else to sleep. The retaliation doesn't come in screams. It comes in whispers. You hear about it from your cousin first, an innocent text that reads, did you really evict your parents? Aunt Lila said you went full lawyer mode on them. Then, from your old piano teacher of all people, hope everything's okay at home. Your mom sounded very upset at church last Sunday.
You don't respond to either.
Because the story your parents are telling isn't surprising. Of course they're painting you as the villain. The ungrateful child. The cold, calculated usurper who waited until they were vulnerable to snatch away their home. Never mind the yelling. The exile. The way they weaponized silence long before you picked up legal documents. Your parents aren't shouting now because they don't need to. They've passed the narrative to others people who know nothing but still believe everything. It stings a little, not because it's true, but because some small part of you still wants to be understood. Still hopes that someone somewhere will say, wait, What did they do to her first? But no one does. So you stop checking your messages. You pour your energy into the next step, reclaiming. Grace, your lawyer, files a quiet enforcement motion, just in case they don't move when the notice expires. A legal formality, she calls it. You nod. But it feels bigger than that. It feels like armor. She asks if you want to go ahead and change the locks.
You say yes.
So, on a bright Monday morning, you drive back to the house. You haven't been there since they threw you out. Since your father's voice echoed through the walls, and your mother turned her face away. Now you walk up the steps with a locksmith beside you. The house looks the same.
But you are not.
He asks for ID the deed. You show both. He nods, drills, swaps, clicks. The old key's useless now. You slide the new one into the lock. Turn it. The door opens. The first thing you notice is the smell, familiar, sharp, almost nostalgic. Laundry detergent, floor polish, faint air freshener.
It should comfort you.
Instead, it hits like a bruise, because every inch of this space was used to remind you of your place. Now it's yours.
You step inside slowly.
The furniture is all still there, the framed pictures, the worn welcome mat. It feels like trespassing, except the papers say otherwise. You walk through each room, quiet, methodical. In the kitchen, your mother's apron still hangs behind the pantry door. In the living room, the couch where you cried through high school heartbreaks hasn't moved. But this time you're not crying. You're inventorying, room by room, memory by memory, ownership by choice. That evening, you sit on the back steps with the new key in your hand, turning it over like a stone you finally dug out of your chest.
You think of all the things they told you.
That you were lucky to live there, that you should be grateful.
That they let you stay.
But now you know the truth. They never gave you space.
You took it.
And you're not giving it back. You sleep in your old room that night. Not because it's comfortable, it's not, but because you need to remember how it felt. You lie there in the dark, on the twin mattress you never replaced, staring up at the ceiling where the glow-in-the-dark stars still cling faintly. You remember the shape of the silence here, the kind that wasn't peace, but pressure. A silence full of eggshells. Now it's just quiet. No one slamming cabinet doors downstairs to make a point. No passive-aggressive goodnights. Just you and the walls that once tried to contain you. In the morning, you make coffee in the kitchen you weren't allowed to change. The chipped mug is still there. You use it anyway. By noon, you've made a list. Not out of impulse, out of necessity. Things that need to go. The wall clock that never worked. The fake plants your mom dusted weekly. The armchair your dad claimed like a throne. Every single framed quote about gratitude. You box up what doesn't serve you and set it on the curb. The neighbors notice. Mrs. Callahan from next door peers over the hedge. They moved. You nod calm. They don't live here anymore. She tilts her head. Good. That surprises you. You raise an eyebrow. She shrugs. We heard them yelling at you. A lot. My husband said it wasn't our business. But I always thought you deserved better. You nod, throat tightening. That afternoon, you order paint swatches online. You rip down the curtain rods that blocked too much light. You play your own music through speakers they never let you install. You reclaim. Piece by piece, quietly, methodically, you turn the house into a home that welcomes you, not one that waits for you to apologize. Later that evening, you sit on the floor of the living room, a paintbrush in one hand and your dinner in the other. Your phone buzzes.
Your brother.
Just heard. Are they really out? You text back. They're gone, officially. He responds, You okay? You stare at the screen for a while before replying. Better than I've ever been. Then, unexpectedly, Mom told me it was all your fault. You sigh. Of course she did. He waits a moment. Then, I don't believe her. That one hits. Harder than you expect.
You type.
Thanks. And, door's always open. If you want to see what it looks like now. He doesn't answer right away. But you don't need him to. Because you've already stopped waiting for people to show up. You show up for yourself now.
And this house.
This house is the quietest, strongest proof of that. It's not a symbol of loss anymore. It's the echo of a decision no one thought you'd make.
And it sounds a lot like freedom. You get used to the quiet. It doesn't scare you anymore.
No footsteps in the hallway at 2 a.m. No slammed drawers. No heavy sighs from your mother drifting through thin walls. Just you, the soft hum of the fridge, and the occasional creak of the house, remembering how to breathe without tension in every room.
You start leaving doors open. A small thing. But you remember how they used to close everything even when no one was home, like the house had something to hide. Now you let air pass through light, filter in. Even the dust settles differently. Calmer. You find little surprises in their absence.
A shoebox of old receipts in the hall closet, every dollar you ever contributed, logged like debts. Notations in your mother's handwriting groceries, paid by Your Name Utilities, covered for May new AC filter finally. You laugh bitterly, holding the box in your hands. They counted your contributions like ammunition, but still called you ungrateful.
You toss the whole thing out. That night, you sleep in the master bedroom for the first time. It's strange climbing into the bed they used to share. It feels wrong for half a second. Then you remember they gave this house away. And even before the paperwork, they never treated it like a place you belonged. Now it's yours. You strip the bed, buy new sheets, open the windows wide. You fall asleep with the breeze brushing your face, and for once, no guilt curling around your ribs. A few days later, the mailman brings an envelope. No return address, but you know the handwriting instantly. Inside a card. No apology. Just a single sentence in your mother's script. It didn't have to end this way. You stare at the words.
And for the first time, you don't feel the urge to respond. You don't feel the weight of trying to correct her version of the story. Because it did have to end this way. Not because you wanted it to. Because they gave you no other choice. You close the card and slide it into a drawer. Not out of sentimentality. Just to remind yourself later when the holidays come and they try to rewrite the timeline that you have receipts of your own. You spend the rest of the afternoon painting the dining room. You blast music, sing off-key Stain Your Fingers with navy blue.
It's messy,
but it's free. And at some point you realize no one's going to yell at you for getting paint on the trim. No one's going to walk in and tell you it looks too bold. This room, like this life, is finally yours to mess up. And that freedom, it tastes like breath after years of holding it. You don't expect your brother to actually show up. But one Friday afternoon, you hear a knock on the door, and there he is, hands in his pockets, shoulders tense like he's not sure if this is a good idea or the worst one he's had in years. You open the door, lean against the frame, and let the moment hang. "Hey," he says. You nod once. "Hey." He clears his throat. "Can I come in?"
You think about it for half a second, then step aside.
He walks in like he's entering a museum, eyes scanning the walls, the furniture, the light, noticing what's changed, noticing what hasn't. "You painted," he says. "Several rooms," you reply. "Dining room's my favorite." He half smiles, barely there. "It looks better."
You head to the kitchen. Want something to drink?
"Water's fine." You hand him a glass, then sit opposite him at the table. The same table your father once slammed his fist against during an argument about respect. The same table your mother once cried on when you said you wanted to move out after college.
Neither of them are here now, but he is.
He takes a sip, sets the glass down, exhales.
"I wasn't on their side," he says. "I just didn't say anything."
You let that sit. You don't let him off the hook with silence. Finally, he continues. "I didn't think they'd actually kick you out. I thought they were bluffing, like always." You nod. "So did I." He leans back. "Then I saw the letter. And Dad just lost it. Not like usual. Quiet mad. Locked himself in the garage for hours." You look at him. Really look. And Mom, his lips pressed together. She's pretending she didn't sign anything. Says she was tricked. Keeps asking if you're going to change your mind. You laugh once. Dry. She spent years reminding me this house wasn't mine. Now she wants me to forget it is.
"I know," he says. "It's just..."
He trails off. You finish for him. They're scared. He nods. You both sit in that space for a moment. That soft, awful truth.
They miss you.
He adds cautiously.
You meet his eyes. They miss control.
He doesn't deny it. I didn't come here to fix anything he says after a beat. I just wanted to see it.
See you. You soften a little.
Well, you say you're here. What do you think? He looks around again. It feels lighter, he says. Like the place can breathe again. You smile. He reaches into his jacket and pulls out a folded piece of paper. What's that? I found it in the hallway closet. Not sure if you saw it. You unfold it slowly. It's a drawing crayon on construction paper. You and him stick figures with exaggerated grins standing in front of the house. It's old, probably from 2nd grade. Your chest tightens. You don't cry. But something moves in you. He shrugs.
Figured it belonged to you now.
You tuck it into your notebook without a word. Later, as he heads to the door, he pauses. If you ever want to talk about any of it, I'm not them. You nod.
I know, and you mean it.
You close the door behind him, not as a rejection, as a choice. Because this time, you're the one who decides who gets to stay. You don't hear from your parents.
Not directly anyway.
But you see your mother's name pop up in a comment thread under a church fundraiser photo. Something polite, sugar-coated. We're adjusting to a new chapter. Please keep us in your prayers. You don't laugh. You just scroll on. Because even when she says nothing, she still finds ways to say something.
You spend that Sunday clearing out the last room you'd been avoiding, the basement.
It still smells like damp cardboard and dust. The lights flicker when you turn them on like they know what's coming. You start slow, box by box, shelf by shelf. There's junk, of course. Decades of it. Water-stained yearbooks. A vacuum that hasn't worked since 2014. Cracked Christmas ornaments taped together with hope. Then you find the box with your name. Not labeled with it written on it. Sharpie, thick, bold. Inside, childhood art projects, a trophy from the 3rd grade spelling bee, your high school graduation tassel. A few birthday cards you thought were lost.
And right on top, a photo.
You age 6 asleep on the couch with your head in your mom's lap. She's smiling at the camera like nothing in the world could ever come between you.
You sit down on the concrete floor.
And let yourself feel it.
Not regret, not anger. Just ache.
The ache of what could have been. The ache of a love that never learned to be unconditional. The ache of knowing that somewhere along the way, they stopped seeing you as a person and started seeing you as proof of their sacrifice. You stare at the photo until your eyes blur. Then you place it back in the box, not to forget, just to decide later. You climb the basement steps and return to the light. Upstairs, you open all the windows, you light a candle, you scrub the baseboards even though no one's watching. And when you shower, you let the water hit your face and wash off more than dust. You're learning something you were never taught. How to care for a space that holds you instead of one that controls you. That night, you lie on the couch with a blanket and no agenda. You scroll through listings for furniture, imagining new layouts. You consider painting the front door. You finally say yes to the idea of a housewarming party. And you realize you haven't felt guilt in days.
You don't miss the silence they used as punishment.
You don't miss the kind of love that comes with a receipt. You fall asleep early, wrapped in the quiet hum of your own decisions. And for once, the house doesn't feel like a battleground. It feels like something better. A beginning. It's a Tuesday when your mom finally calls. No warning, no text first. Just a name flashing across your phone screen while you're chopping vegetables for dinner. You stare at it. It rings once, twice, 3 times. And then, without really knowing why, you answer. Hi, you say carefully. She exhales like she's been holding her breath for weeks. I didn't think you'd pick up. You don't respond to that. There's a long pause on her end. You can hear ambient noise TV maybe, or a radio. Life going on somewhere that isn't here.
I've been meaning to call, she says. You raise an eyebrow. You've had 30 days.
She ignores that, or doesn't hear it. I got your brother's message, she says. That you've been changing things. You lean against the counter. It's my house. I can.
She sighs. You know we never thought you'd go through with it.
You don't know whether to laugh or let the silence answer for you. Then she says, your father's angry. He says you tricked us. You shake your head. You both signed the papers. You told me to get out. I listened. Maybe we said things we didn't mean.
You snapped just a little, but you meant the part where you didn't call. For weeks.
She's quiet again. You soften not out of mercy, but out of exhaustion. What do you want, you ask, steady. I don't know, she admits. Maybe to say, I didn't realize how much we pushed you out until the door was already closed. You blink. Not an apology, but not denial either. You say nothing. She continues. I don't expect things to go back. But maybe there's something forward. You don't answer right away, because you don't owe her a clean resolution. You owe yourself honesty. I'm not angry anymore, you say. But I'm not opening the door just because you knocked. She breathes out slowly. Okay, another pause. Do you still have that photo? The one of us. You sleeping on my lap. You don't ask how she knows you found it. I do. I liked that one, she says. I remember thinking, this is what love looks like. I didn't realize how much it would change.
You almost say it didn't have to.
But instead, you let the silence carry it.
She says goodbye first.
You hang up and place your phone face down. The kitchen is quiet again. The vegetables are still waiting to be chopped. You pick up the knife and finish preparing your meal. You eat by the window, the last sunlight of the day catching on the edge of the counter.
You don't feel relief. You don't feel rage. You just feel here.
And that's more than enough. You host the housewarming on a Sunday, not because you're ready, but because readiness isn't a feeling anymore, it's a choice. You scrub the floors the night before, hang a string of warm lights across the backyard, rearrange the furniture 3 times until it finally feels like you.
There's no theme, no grand announcements, just an open door and a group of people who've seen you at your lowest and didn't flinch.
Your friend brings a plant. Your coworker brings wine. Someone surprises you with a candle that smells like citrus and clean slates. Your brother shows up late. He doesn't bring anything but himself, and that's enough. He steps inside, looks around, nods like he's proud, then mutters, "Smells less like guilt in here." You laugh. It's the eucalyptus. He grins. Sure, you catch yourself smiling more than once that day. Not performatively, just naturally. You feel it in your jaw like your muscles are remembering how to do it without defense. At one point, someone asks, "Is this your childhood home?" You pause, then say it was, and leave it at that. They don't push. That night, after the guests leave and the dishes are drying, you sit on the porch with your feet up, sipping tea. The house is full of laughter echoes and crumb trails. It feels lived in, loved in. You scroll through your phone and see a missed call from your mom. No voicemail, just the quiet tap of her name. You don't call back, not out of spite, out of preservation, because the boundary isn't a punishment, it's a perimeter. She'll figure that out or she won't. But it's not your job to teach her anymore. You lean your head against the porch railing, watching the stars blink into view. The house hums behind you, calm, patient, whole. And you're not rebuilding what you lost.
You're building what you never had. 1 year to the day.
12 months since that night at the dinner table. Since the mashed potatoes, the slammed fork, the words that cracked your world like a dropped dish. You're ungrateful. Get out. Don't come back. And you didn't. But you also didn't disappear. You sit on the porch with a journal in your lap. The sun's beginning to set, casting long amber shadows across the yard. You've just finished trimming the hedges. Your hedges and your hands still smell faintly of rosemary and soil. You open the journal to a blank page. At the top you write, "What I've learned since I left." The list comes slow but steady. Silence isn't always peace. Legal power and emotional power are not the same. Saying nothing is its own kind of cruelty. Family doesn't mean you owe them your survival. I was never ungrateful. I was just unwilling to shrink anymore. You pause. Add a 6th. Some houses need to be emptied before they can feel like home. You close the journal and breathe. You haven't spoken to your dad since he showed up on that doorstep. Haven't heard another voicemail from your mom since the non-apology call. They've faded, not vanished, but softened into background noise. Like static from a distant radio station you no longer need to tune into. Your brother visits sometimes. Not often. Just enough. Last week he helped you install shelves in the hallway. When he handed you the drill, he said, "You're really doing it, huh?" You smiled. "Yes, I am." He didn't ask what it meant. He didn't have to.
Because it is this living without permission.
Your career is steady. You've started therapy. You sleep better. You laugh more. You no longer brace yourself when someone raises their voice. And every time you unlock the front door, you feel it.
This is mine.
Not because of a document. Because of who I became inside it. You stand now, stretching your back, feeling the warmth of the house behind you like a gentle hand on your shoulder.
You don't need revenge. You don't need them to say sorry.
Because you already did the hardest part.
You left.
And then you stayed gone. The house is quiet again. Not with tension, not with fear, but with the kind of quiet that feels earned. Like peace finally moved in and unpacked its things. You sit in the living room, barefoot legs tucked beneath you, a mug warm between your palms. Outside, the wind brushes softly against the windows. The walls no longer echo with old expectations. They don't ask you to tiptoe. They don't demand you perform. They just hold you.
There's no celebration tonight. No need. Just presence. Just you here, whole in a space you rebuilt from fragments. You think about the girl who walked out with a bag and nowhere to go. You think about how she didn't cry. Not that night. Not the next. Not even when she found out the house was in her name. She didn't cry because she was too busy surviving. But now she gets to rest. Now she gets to exist in a home that reflects her strength, not her silence. A home without terms, without control. A home that holds her without question. The journey wasn't about reclaiming the house. It was about remembering you were never the ungrateful one. You were the honest one, the brave one, and some nights that truth is all you need. You turn off the lights slowly. Let the dark settle in like a favorite blanket. You crawl into bed, feeling the mattress welcome you back like it's been waiting. No voices, no guilt, just breath. Some nights just lying still and breathing softly is enough to return home to yourself.